Hello, welcome to Silvia Angel Education. Today I'll talk to you about using a type of visual schedules called first and next boards. I'll talk to you about what they are, when is the best time to introduce them, and also the one common mistake that most people do when introducing first and next boards for the first time. The first and next boards are visual schedules that indicate what's going to happen and in what order. You can call them first and next boards, and a lot of people call them first and then boards, and both options are correct. I use them first and next because I use sign language with them, and the word next, it suited me better. So let's talk about how do you know that your child or your student is ready for the first and then boards. Visual schedules can have different lengths. There's some schedules that might represent just one activity. Some schedules represent two activities, like first and then. Some schedules represent what's going to happen during part of the day. And some other schedules represent what's going to happen for the full day. I start all my students with a one activity schedule. So I start by introducing just what's going to happen next. For example, if it's time to go and play in the garden, I may have a ball that we always use when we're playing in the garden. So then every time the child sees the ball, they know that they are going to go outside to play. Or I could have a picture of the garden, and before we go to the garden, I show them the picture so they know that we are going to play outside. Once you see that your child is understanding a one activity schedule, for example, you show the picture of the garden and the child gets really excited and is walking towards the door, that means that yes, that the child is understanding one activity schedule, that they can see an object or a picture or a symbol and they know what that represents. Once children have mastered the one activity schedule, then is when I introduced a first and then a two picture schedule. When we support the information that we are saying to our students by using what's called visual supports, our students are more likely to understand what we are communicating with them because they can hear but also see the instruction that we're giving them. First and then boards introduce a simple schedule or sequence of events. This is what we're going to do right now, and this is what we're going to do after. It's very useful to build simple routines. Like, for example, I have here now, first with the circle time, and then we do arts and crafts. So you get children used to pairing activities together. I have to do this right now, and this is what we're going to do right after that activity. You can use first and next board with objects, with pictures, with photographs, with symbols, or with words, whatever works best for your student. The example I have here, I am using symbols on this one. First circle time, then painting. If I was using objects of reference with a student, I might have first circle time and I might have, for example, a little cushion that the child can carry to the circle time and sit on that cushion, and then painting. So obviously here I would have a paintbrush or a pot of paint so that the child can take that and bring it to the table to do arts and crafts. So use it with whatever your student is using, either objects of reference, photographs, symbols, or words. We tend to use first and next boards to get students to do activities that they may not be very motivated for. So they may need to do something first, something that they don't really want to do, like for example, first homework and then iPad. So they understand, okay, I have to do this first, this thing that I don't like, but then I have a reward. And these boards work really, really well with that, to get students to do something that they don't really want to do, but they see the prize here, so then they do it because they know that's going to be a reward. However, the one mistake that I see most people doing when they introduce first and next boards for the first time is to use it like that. If you do this, then you can get that. If you do your homework, then I'll give you some ice cream. If you do your writing, then you can have the iPad. And I wouldn't do this when I'm introducing the first and then boards for the very first time. If the child doesn't know how to do this schedule, if you present two pictures of two activities at the same time, the child might think that it's a choice board. And if there's a very preferred activity and a non-preferred activity, the child obviously is going to gravitate towards the activity they want to do, the preferred activity. And if you tell them, no, you cannot have this until you do that, the child may get quite upset, and rightly so, because the child does not understand that these represent a sequence of events yet. So we need to focus on teaching that this represents a sequence of events first before we start using it as a tool to get the child to do a non-preferred activity in order to get a preferred activity or game or toy. So at the very beginning, use two things that the child is quite happy to do. They are not their favorite things to do, but they are not things that he doesn't like. For example, first blocks and then Play-Doh. Or like this one, first circle time, then painting. The child is probably happy to do both, and they are both have the same level of motivation for the child. So the child gets to understand that it represents that this is what's going to happen right now, and this is what's going to happen next. So we introduce the activity. Now we're going to do circle time. Circle time, the child goes to the circle, they do the activity, that is finished. What's next? Now it's time for painting, and you go to the table where they're going to do arts and crafts. Once you see your student using this board more independently, and you'll see that when they come to the board and they look at the first activity here, the activity on the left, and they go and do that, and they come back and check, what's next, and then they do the following one. When you see them using this board more independently, and that they are accepting that this is a sequence of events, this is what's going to happen right now, and this is what's going to happen once this one is finished, then you can start challenging them a little bit more. You putting an activity that maybe it's not their preferred activity. Let's say that a child is not mad about pencil activities, so you can start challenging them. First with the pencil work, and then you pick an activity that it feels more like a reward for your student. It's also very important that we're very mindful about the language that we're using with the first and then boards, because sometimes we might be tempted to say, if you do your homework, I'm going to give you the iPad. So these boards are not like if, then. We're always going to use the words first, then, or first, next. Okay, so even if you're tempted to say, if you do this, I'm gonna give you that, just remember that this represents a visual schedule, so we're gonna stick to those words. First we do this, and then we do that. Once your student feels quite comfortable working with the first and then schedule, you may consider increasing the length of the schedule. So instead of 2 activities, you can introduce 3, like first, then, and next, or you can start introducing all the activities that are going to take place during part of the day. If you have any questions about how to use first and then boards, leave a comment below and I will get back to you with an answer. Thank you so much for watching. For any more information, you can visit my website, silviaangel.com. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next week. Bye bye.